In this lesson, we will construct a sketch on the XY plane and then revolve it around the Y-axis to create a revolved extrusion. We'll start by selecting the geometry icon in order to create a new design modeler project. Now we'll select the millimeter button to indicate the working length unit and then click on the OK button. Since we want to sketch on the XY plane, we'll now click on XY plane in the tree outline window, followed by clicking on the Look at Face icon. We'll now click on the Sketching tab, followed by selecting the Rectangle tool. To draw our first rectangle, we'll click on the horizontal axis and then move the cursor as shown here, and again click the mouse. The second rectangle is now drawn that is attached to the first rectangle as shown. In order to enlarge the image, we'll now click on the Zoom to Fit icon. The next step is to trim the interior vertical line, so we'll select Modify, followed by selecting the Trim option. We'll now move the cursor over the portion of the vertical line that we want to remove and click the mouse. Notice that we must select the vertical line again because there are two lines here. We'll now reduce the scale of our image by selecting the Zoom icon and then click and hold down the left mouse button while dragging the mouse. We'll now again select the Zoom icon in order to stop the zoom process. Next, we'll delete the horizontal line segment at the bottom right portion of the sketch using the Modify, Trim options. The next step involves extending the remaining horizontal line in order to close the sketch. This is done by first selecting the Extend option, and then clicking on the right end of the line. We'll now select the chamfer option, followed by clicking on the corner point of our sketch where it will be placed. The next step is to create a fillet, so we'll select this option, followed by clicking on the corner point shown here. We now must dimension the sketch, so we'll start this process by selecting the Dimension option and then leave the default option of General selected. In order to place a dimension, we need to click on an edge and then move the cursor to the location where the dimension will appear, and again click the left mouse button. We'll now repeat this process to dimension the remaining lines. We'll finish the dimensioning process by selecting the Radius option and then dimension the fillet. We'll now modify the values of the dimensions shown in the Detail View pane so that the sketch is the correct size. The last dimension that we must define is the distance from the Y-axis to the left edge of our sketch. We'll create this dimension by first selecting the Horizontal Dimension option. Next, we'll click on the left line and then click on the Y-axis, followed by moving the cursor to the location where the dimension will be placed, and again click the mouse. In the Details View pane, we'll now change the value of this new dimension to 9 millimeters. Our sketch is now complete, so we'll start the process of creating a revolved extrusion by first clicking on the Modeling tab, and then click on the plus sign next to XY plane and select Sketch 1. We'll now click on the isometric icon, followed by selecting the Revolve option. Now we'll click on the Y-axis to define the axis of revolution, and then select the Generate option in order to complete the revolved extrusion.